Welcome to this first episode in our joint quest for glory in Age of Empires 4. I would love to see you subscribe and participate. And do not forget to click like if you find the content likable. In this episode, we will have a first glance at the user interface to see what's available and give some hints on what to do as a complete noob like me, who just downloaded and installed the game. So let's dive in. After you downloaded the game from Microsoft Store, Microsoft Game Pass, where the game is included, or Steam, you start the game, and after a short period of booting, this is the screen you are presented with. This is where you would start your gaming. As you can see, you choose either to play single player, in which case you will play against AI opponents, or you can choose the multiplayer options where you would play against human players in teams, or one player against another. However, if you feel tempted to start a multiplayer game immediately, you will be warned by the system that you do not have the skills to join in before you had some practice as a single player. This doesn't mean that you can't join, just that you most likely will lose quickly and merciless. We will leave the multiplayer option at that for this episode and come back to multiplayer games in a later episode on the channel. Before we dive into the single player option, let's have a look at the other items on the screen. Every day you are presented with 5 new challenges. The timer on the top right tells you how long you have to finish them. Each completed challenge will add experience points to your profile. This is a great way to boost your skills, as the challenges force you to play different types of games. The group button lets you create a group of players that you can interact with within the game. I'm a complete noob, so I haven't tried this, but I guess it will only make sense if you play multiplayer games, unless of course you want to socialize. Clicking the empty slot button will open the chat function where you can invite people for either one-to-one or group chats. I would love to try this out with some of you, so feel free to invite me to your group. To do so, press the Add button in the chat menu and enter my unique ID, which is AnIslander. When you find me in the list, select me, and I guess that I will get a notification. Clicking the Masteries button will, surprisingly, open the Masteries screen. Masteries is yet another way to improve your skills. While setting up a game, you can choose one of a number of civilizations as the one you will play. There's a set of unique abilities, buildings, etc. for each civilization, but more about this later. Open Masteries for a specific civilization will give you a list of challenges that will help you to improve skills and gain experience points and perks. You must finish the challenges in sequence. Coming back to the home screen, let's have a look at the menu items. The community menu item will lead you to news and links from the official community websites and social media platforms. I leave this for this episode, but go and have a look for yourself. The mods menu item opens the modifications page, where you can enrich your game with both official and user-made modifications. It's of course interesting, but I'm a little reluctant to install these except the official ones made by the Age of Empires developer team. However, if a modification has 5-star reviews by a great number of users, it's most likely okay. Subscribing to some modifications will affect the gaming experience and make modifications to your settings. If you see a difference between what is shown on this channel and what you see on your screen, it might be because you installed some modifications that I do not have, or vice versa. Go and have a look for yourself, having these warnings in mind. Now let's have a look at the most important menu item for a complete noob like me and open the Learn menu. Here you will get the first taste of the use of combat tactics and have a glance at the difference between the available civilizations. Arriving at the Learn screen, you will see 2 sections of the screen. To the left you got the text trees, we'll come back to that in a second, and to the right you have the Learning the Basics section. In that you will find the intro tutorial. It's a small learning by doing guide leading you through the typical phases of the game. We will come back to that a little later. Then you got a guide to the hotkeys. In the bottom you find this link to the community site with a cheat sheet for the most important hotkeys. There's a lot of hotkeys in the game. It's impossible to learn all of them at once, but you will learn them over time. Finally, we got more tutorials. For each civilization, there is a link to the community site to a description of the civilization. If you, for instance, look at the Japanese civilization and click the link, you will get a description of the Japanese civilization and its history. It's the actual history, so you can actually learn something here. And it also will tell you something about how to play using this civilization. Let's move our attention to the intro tutorial. The tutorial is a small skirmish guiding you through the phases of a typical game from the Dark Ages to the Castle Age. This will make more sense in a minute or so. In approximately 30 minutes of learning by doing, it will give you a pretty good idea of the phases of the game and teach you a thing or two about the complexity. If you have just downloaded Age of Empires 4, then I strongly urge you to pause this video and take the tutorial now. When finished, come back here to get an even deeper understanding of the complexities. Are you, on the other hand, a wannabe gamer considering buying Age of Empires 4? Then just hang on as we go into a description of the tech trees and their importance. As you may already have guessed, you have a choice among several civilizations to rule. Each of these has unique strengths. One might be good at defending themselves, another good at hoarding resources, and yet another good at attacking. The combination of two players choosing among the civilizations leads to very different gameplays. The strength of each civilization are described in the tech trees. Weaknesses come from the comparison of strengths between the opponents in a game and are determined both by the civilizations chosen and the player's ability to take advantage of the strengths. In the intro tutorial, you played the English, so let's have a look at the overview of that civilization. Hovering the mouse over the English flag reveals a short summary of the English civilization strengths. Speaking in headlines, it's defense, longbows, and farming. On the other hand, hovering over the French flag tells us that the strengths of the French are trade, cavalry, and keeps, a defensive building. This tells us that you can expect that the French, after they move to the feudal age, will excel in trading, have a strong and aggressive cavalry, and have pretty good defensive keeps. So if you're playing the English against the French, then I guess, after all, I'm just a noob, that you must hurry up in the Dark Age to create a strong economy while you're still on equal terms. This ensures that you can build up your defenses as fast as possible in the following ages. Also, you should produce enough spearmen as fast as possible. As we learned in the intro tutorial, these are the units countering cavalry. At the same time, you should use your advantage in archers and build plenty of longbow units to support your spearmen. All this without neglecting your other military units. Are you beginning to see the complexity? Well, it gets worse. Let's dive into the English tech tree. Left-clicking the English flag will open the English civilization tech tree. To the left of the tech tree, you see a lengthier description of the virtues of the English. You should pay attention to the civilization's difficulty level. The English and the French both have low difficulty level and should be the noob's choice of civilizations. No need to make it harder than necessary. I'll leave the reading up to you and dive into the tech tree details. Each of the columns in the table represents the 4 ages that your civilizations will undertake. Each of these give you progressively more advanced possibilities in terms of trade, military buildings and units, naval units, religion, and resource gathering. Let's have a look at the building unit types, technologies, and landmarks available for your English civilizations in the Dark Ages and concentrate on the types used in the intro tutorial. When playing the English civilization, a game will always start providing you with a capital town center that houses up to 10 economic, military, and religious units. You can raise several town centers, each providing room for 10 units. The capital town center can detect otherwise hidden enemies in the nearby surroundings. Other town centers cannot. Building a town center does not carry any cost but will occupy a villager for 2.5 minutes. you can reduce the time by adding more villagers to the work constructing the building. Town centers produce workers, aka villagers, and a light military unit called a scout. Villagers work on gathering resources like food, wood, gold, and stone. This can be done either by hunting, farming, collecting lumber, or mine for gold and stone. Producing a new villager has a cost of 50 units of food. That means that you need to have food in store. In the Dark Ages, before trading, that means you need to have villagers that produce food to produce more villagers. See the complexity? Scouts are fast and light cavalry that you would use to explore the world, detecting sites with gold and stone, and to find your enemies' buildings and units. Scouts have a cost of 70 units of food. Again, you need villagers to produce that food. When your population size reaches 10 units, there's no more room in the town center. Normally, you would then build a house, which gives you room for 10 more. When reaching 20 units, you will have to build yet another house, and so on. As a rule of thumb, you should watch your population size and build new houses when you're getting near the current limit. This will ensure that you continuously can produce new units without waiting for a house. Building a house has a cost of 50 units of wood. To ensure that you have enough wood, you need villagers dedicated to chopping lumber. As you may have noticed in the intro tutorial, villagers collecting berries at the beginning must walk to and from the town center to deliver the harvested berries. This wastes a lot of time that could be used to harvest. Like the town center, mills can store food from hunting, harvesting berries, slaughtering sheep, or harvesting grain from farms. As a cost-effective ruler, you would command your villagers to raise a mill very near to the food source to save time. A mill costs 50 units of wood that a villager must produce. However, it's an investment in productivity. Collecting food faster means producing villagers faster. When you, or rather your workers, have built a mill, you can study new technologies that further improves your productivity. This is the blue icons you see. In the Dark Ages, studying a technology has a cost measured in wood and gold. Consequently, you need to ensure that you have villagers allocated both to chopping wood and to the mining of gold. Lumber camps is for wood what mills are for food. It improves productivity in the wood chopping business by saving time if you build it near the wood where lumber is chopped. There's technologies to be studied for the lumber camps as well, again with a cost measured in wood and gold. The cost of a lumber camp is 50 units of wood. Natural resources like berries, sheep, and deer will at some point in time be consumed completely. This is not sustainable. Farms are the solution to the problem. After a farm has been built, one and only one villager can harvest from the farm. You would always raise a farm near a mill or a town center, optimizing villager productivity. Farms are cheap, only costing 37 units of wood, weird number, but nevertheless cheap compared to other buildings. If you played the tutorial, you know that you need to build a landmark to transition to the next stage. Landmarks come with a considerable cost that you need to accumulate during the current age. The landmark you need to build in the Dark Ages, either the Council Hall or the Abbey of Kings, have a cost of 400 units of food and 200 units of gold. Be sure to have resources enough to benefit from the new buildings, units, and technologies that becomes available in the next stage. In the Feudal Age, markets and traders, a new way to earn gold, is introduced, removing some of the need to find and exploit gold deposits. Besides that, there are several new buildings and military units. Also, mining stone becomes a necessity, further increasing the complexity. Explore the remaining tech tree for yourself and remember to check out other civilizations as well. We're wrapping up this episode up with a couple of tips and tricks on setting up villagers for work using build orders, some camera shortcuts, and some combat tactic maneuvers that are used in the tutorial. Remember that I'm not a pro, more to the contrary, and that there may be other more efficient tricks out there somewhere, but I'll give you my take on the gameplay, from the only viewpoint I know, the noob's viewpoint. That's the whole idea behind this channel, that we progress together from noob to pro, so don't hesitate to comment, connect via friend requests, and invite me to in-game chats. One of the first things I learned after starting my first game a month ago was the use of rally points. That is, setting up a location where newly built units will meet up after being produced, in the town center or any other unit producing building. You do that by selecting the building, left-click, and then right-click at the location you want to use for rally point for the new produced units. Just in the beginning of the tutorial, you are asked to produce more villagers. I thought that I may as well put them to work instantly after being produced. So to do so, I set up a rally point in the middle of the berries. I missed the first produced villager that stayed in the town center after being produced, and had to allocate that unit to work manually, but the next produced 4 units starts picking berries immediately after being produced. Here is how it plays out. Wouldn't it be nice if you could ask a villager or any other unit first to perform one task and then, when finished, perform a second, saving time issuing commands? Build orders are just what you need. In the following clip, I select a villager, left-click, select to build a house, and while holding the Shift key, I point to the location for the house. Then, still holding the Shift key, I select to build a mill and point to its location. Finally, still holding the Shift key, I select the farm and place it adjacent to where the mill will be built.
Abendende. Workende. Workende. Workan. The worker.
In the intro tutorial, you are asked to build a mining camp near the gold deposit that the scout has just discovered. To do so, you could select a villager near the town center, select to build a mining camp, and then point to a location adjacent to the gold deposit. You can point to the location by panning your camera using the edges of the screen, or you can use the minimap to move the camera quickly. Have a look.
The source of gold.
When you order your spearmen to attack the enemy cavalry using the attack command, selecting all your spearmen and then select attack by left-clicking the sword or simply press A, Followed by left-clicking your sword just in front of your enemy, you might experience that some of your spearmen will choose to attack a couple of villagers that happen to be near instead of going head-to-head with the cavalry. This happened to me. I then selected the 3 spearmen that went berserk and pointed to the nearest enemy unit and right-clicked. This orders the 3 units to concentrate their attack on this particular enemy unit, ignoring everyone else. This is the difference between using the attack command and left-click in the direction you want your troops to attack in, or pointing to one particular enemy either with or without using the attack command. If you select a group of your units and point to a particular enemy unit and left-click, all your men will concentrate on this enemy, and most likely be beaten badly by all the other enemies. This can be a bit confusing. But the rule seems to be use the attack command A and live with the fact that some of your units chooses to attack another place than intended. Here is what happened.
The road, but the militia was ready to attack.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm a commander obeying to the laws of war. Consequently, I do not tolerate that my troops attack civilians or their property. After the victory over the enemy cavalry and the destruction of their stable, I ordered my units to line up outside the enemy city facing in the direction towards the city. You do that by selecting your troops, right-click on the line-up position, and while holding the mouse button down, draw the mouse in the direction you want your troops to face. My troops attacked some civilian property near the line-up location, so I commanded them to hold their position. Click the boot in the command pane. It looks like this.
The invaders' cavalry post was destroyed, but other enemy positions awaited further up the road. Hostile archers defended the next camp, which would put spearmen at a disadvantage.
In mixed combat situations, for instance when you're using 2 or more unit types, it can be convenient to select all Type 1 units and command them to attack something and all Type 2 units to attack somewhere else simultaneously. This can be accomplished using groups. Select all units you want to allocate to Group 1 and press Ctrl 1. Then select all the units you want to allocate to Group 2 and press Ctrl 2. You can have up to 10 groups numbered 0 to 9. In the following clip, I'm producing cavalry, and while I'm waiting for the 15 units to be produced, I select my spearmen, double left click on a spearman, and press Ctrl 1 to form Group 1. As soon as the last cavalry unit is produced, I likewise select all the horsemen, double left clicking 1, and press Ctrl 2 to form Group 2. I now got 2 groups, and I can select either by pressing the group number. To select all the spearmen, press 1. Select all the horsemen, press 2. A great advantage of groups is that you can select a group even if it isn't visible on the screen.
Yarway. Yarway.
Veyored Yaru. Veyod May. Yedita Upa.
The town now had a rapid light cavalry, skilled at...
In the next scene, I will use my groups for a concerted attack on the enemy archers, combined with attacking the enemy archer ranges. Spearmen's worst enemy is archers, but archers' worst nightmare is cavalry. So the idea is to order my cavalry to attack the archers, and while the archers are occupied defending themselves, my spearmen attacks the enemy archer range. First, I line up my troops, spearmen behind cavalry. Then I select Group 1, the spearmen, to attack the enemy archer range by pointing to the archer range and left click. Spearmen are after all slower than cavalry. Then I select Group 2, my cavalry, and order them to attack the enemy archers using the attack command. This tactic works like a dream.
Eoridas, Hellsporu!
Tremet Garu! Garwigan!
Yerward. Rita, Eoridas! Yedite Upa!
The final battle is up. I've grouped my archers as group 3, and they will attack the enemy spearmen from the cliff top above the enemy camp as suggested in the tutorial. I will refine this a bit by setting up my spearmen group 1 to deny the enemy access to the cliff top, and set up a trap letting my cavalry group 2 out of sight until the surviving enemy spearmen from the first archer attack meets my own spearmen. Then I will command my cavalry to attack, crushing the enemy between my spearmen and my cavalry. Pay attention to the use of groups. Selection of groups without having it visible is quite powerful.
A strong force of archers could eliminate enemy spearmen at a distance, so long as they took the proper position.
Ikwilla! Garwigan! Ritnu! Ritnu!
Eoridas, Yahweh. Each upon you. You're sadly at Opa.
Garu Upa!
Poised on a cliff top, the longbowman would be protected from an infantry charge.
Steady faster, no. You're in shower. Ichiara!
I hope that this was helpful. If you got inspired, then try some of the techniques out for yourself, playing the intro tutorial again. If you come up with new ideas for tactics or new ways to make production more effective, then feel free to create a friend request in Age of Empires or Xbox Live to my gamer profile AnIslander, or email me at anislander.dk@gmail.com. Also, if you have ideas for content in the channel, let me know. And of course, remember to like and subscribe. In this episode, we had a look at the user interface of Age of Empires 4, a peek at the technology trees, and a couple of examples related to the intro tutorial. In the next episode, I will dive into the single-player option, covering primarily the art of war learning exercises to get a deeper understanding of the challenges lying ahead, but also touch on campaigns and how to set up a skirmish, where you would play against Age of Empires AI.